like, bro, if you want, if a company is thinking of hiring like fake protesters, you can have this on your resume, like, hey, look what I can organize just on social media.
Yeah.
I can get you fake protesters that think that they're real. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the React Cast. It's me, Nelson, and your boy Abo. Today, we're going to be reacting to a video called Climate Protesters Arrested After Barricading NYC Highway. This happened at the end of October, which is what, almost like 20 days now.
Yeah.
Or so, almost a month. So yeah, let's get into it.
No climate! No deal! And that's why it shoots from Valley, New York.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
I just want to give political context to people that are watching this.
Okay.
The no deal that they're complaining about is in America. There's two bills being passed right now.
Okay.
So the first bill being passed is called the reconciliation bill, or something along those lines. This is basically a bipartisan bill that has got things for Republicans and Democrats, who are the two parties, obviously, that dominate the political system there. And the second bill is called the infrastructure bill. Now, the infrastructure bill is more of like a collection of policies, right? It's a lot of money, and basically they're building up all the policies to fill the stuff. So many policies were dropped, hence the money's dropped, obviously. Less policies, less money. Many policies were dropped, and one of those policies that were dropped was policies that are pro climate change. So that's why these people are protesting right now.
Okay. Do we have any idea what the specific policy was that was dropped?
Well, I mean, it was Green New Deal stuff. Probably something along the lines of carbon tax. Something along the lines of putting more money into scientific ingenuity when it comes to climate change. So people have to think about climate change like this. Yeah, you can have something that is friendly for the climate, right? Like an invention of some type. But that's an individual creating an invention. There's a difference between that and actually putting money into creating policies that are pro-climate change. See, that's different. No one gets paid for that. It's not an invention. So when people talk about giving money for climate change, that's what they mean. For the things that are not ingenuity, just the day-to-day things that might help the climate change. Now, as you see from this video, these are just a bunch of people stopping middle-class people from going to work, and that's the joke happening over here. But I just wanted to give that context for what is actually happening.
It's very different when environmental activists chain themselves to trees because some builders want to bulldoze these trees so that they can build a skyscraper here. That's a different thing than blocking middle-class people from getting to work so that they can feed their kids and feed their families, because those same corporations that you're protesting against aren't going to pay these people for not showing up at work. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, because in case you didn't know, just to put this out there, there are a lot of environmental changes that have been happening since like the last maybe 6 or 7 years. Like a lot of stuff has gone on, there are companies that are trying to make building materials and such out of like mushrooms and mycelium. And I think one of one company did so with what is it called, styrofoam, so they make mycelium alternatives to styrofoam. And because of that, in like 3 or 4 states, styrofoam's banned. Now you can't use it because, you know, people are making alternatives with. So it's like, it's something so quick that the technology was developed, implemented, and laws have been passed before people even know that it's a thing that's happening. So sometimes, you know, you get these environmental people who come with these very hyperbolic, you know, the world is dying right fucking now and we are doing nothing but killing it. But that's not necessarily true, you know?
Yeah.
I saw that, Doug. He didn't want that smoke. That smoke he didn't want.
Did not want that. You see that pointing right there? That was like a test me, nigga.
He is an advocate for in the environment, so you can also believe he's an advocate for BLM. So he can't tell her shit, even if she says fuck the planet. You know, he can't say shit to her.
Do you see what these environmentalist logos look like? They kind of look like the mark of the demon thing in Berserk.
Oh, wait. I don't see the...
Rewind just 1 second. Rewind just 1 second. Just 1 second. Play.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Look at that right there, Tom. That's the mark of the beast.
Bitch, come on. She's just screaming? That's the protest. She's just gonna scream in the middle of the highway with traffic. People are honking and she's like, I'ma scream. Nah, dog, nah. You know, some of this protesting, the people involved they make you question their own mental stability. You know what I'm saying? Like, is she okay?
It's disorganized. If you guys care that much about it, you can stop using Amazon. Or you can stop using all these gas companies.
How did you guys get here? How did they commute here?
What are these cameras you're holding made out of? What are they made out of? It's like, listen, I want to sympathize with them, but these are some of the most rich, protected people in the world, and it's like, you're not the right person to be making this. You're not the right person to be fighting this battle, because there are so many more battles that are more pressing than this. Because in their eyes, I'm pretty sure the assumption would be, what's more pressing than protecting the planet? It's like, well, what happens if the planet gets destroyed? Oh, I die? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna die tomorrow because of some war, because of some famine, because of some hunger, because of some drug, because of some what, because of some tyrannical leader. So I am dying tomorrow.
Climate justice movement is a movement that says we're worried about our future. What future? What future? Children in the African continent, in Asia, in Latin America, they don't have a future. They don't have a present. They're not worried about the future. They're worried about their present. Your slogan is, we're worried about the future. What future? That's a middle-class bourgeois Western slogan. You got to be worried about now. 2.7 billion people can't eat now. And you're telling people, reduce your consumption. How does this sound to a child who hasn't eaten in days? You got to clue into this, guys. You got to clue into this. Otherwise, this movement will have no legs in the third world.
It's exactly like what I was asking yesterday about, you know, they are so quick to cancel someone because he whistled at a girl in a skirt one day. But there's niggas who literally make music about murder, and then they go and commit those murders. You know, there's case files on case files that such and such a child, a 13-year-old, was shot and killed. They don't even try to cancel that motherfucker. They just think, well, it's the police's job to fix that. My point is, it's hard to believe you when you say you want a better world when you could be fighting for that better world in other more effective ways, but you won't. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, if all these people that...
The other thing is, there's two things I wanted to say. The first is that the vibes that they give me are actually very reminiscent of the teenagers and the young adolescents from the late 50s, early 60s. You know what I'm saying? And how they were kind of fed up with what society was saying was a necessity for how they should live.
Obsessed with bad breath and with underarm deodorant. These are the biggest problems in the world. If you watch television at prime times, advertising is not concerned about poverty, not concerned about race oppression, not concerned about the police, but the biggest problem is your hair groomed, and what's it like under your arms, and do you have bad breath? And this is the American obsession. And so I think that a generation of kids which says, we don't care about your concepts of cleanliness is a revolutionary generation.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only difference is that these guys don't kind of, someone once said that when they were looking at the kids in the 60s, they were concerned because they had the right attitude, but they didn't have causes. You know what I'm saying? They seemed like freedom fighters, but without any causes. And then the causes came, like Vietnam, the causes came, and then they sort of were able to align themselves, like Vietnam, civil rights, feminism, those, what I'm saying?
I had a strong feeling that these children were rebels without a cause. They had everything. They could have had everything. And I found it very hard initially to see what they were rebelling against. When the Vietnam War came along and the big the peace demonstrations, at least focused on something. But initially, when they started dropping out from society, I was baffled because I thought it was a pretty good society they were dropping out from. And I couldn't see what they had that was going to replace it or that was better. It could possibly be better.
Being happy. Just being happy. Happy. No matter how, if you're happy, then you're a success. I mean, if you're a bum and you're happy being a bum, you should stay a bum. You're happy. You're happy. That's right.
But these guys kind of have the causes, but they don't have the right attitude about it. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys in the 60s, they had the right attitude, but not the cause. And then the causes came. These guys have the causes, but not the right attitude. And lastly, it's like, you should lead by example. A lot of people who thought that society was full of shit in the 60s, they went rural. They did the rural thing. They you know what I'm saying? They dropped out of school and lived on the land and tried to live by example, live what they were preaching. And a lot of these people just come and sit here, and that's proof. That's proof that this is how you should live. But what is this?
And listen, here's the thing. This is the last thing I'm going to say. There's this, what they're fighting right here, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You haven't even legalized weed. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. Some might be like, oh, what? You want to legalize weed so you can smoke all day?
In high school, my girlfriend Ann and I went around with Jim and Bob. They both smoked pot. That's jive talk for marijuana. I'd been smoking pot for quite a while before I met Chuck. I guess he was what the newspapers call a peddler. He had the heroin habit. Before I knew it, I was hooked. Bad.
Around this time, millions of young people tried marijuana or knew someone who did. In response, films like this were shown in schools to curtail the growing marijuana problem. But students who saw these films knew that most marijuana smokers weren't going crazy or becoming heroin addicts, so many kids concluded they were being lied to. And they'd have to find the truth for themselves, even if it meant breaking the law.
But think about it.
There are people getting arrested right now because weed is not legalized.
Yeah.
It's like one of the safest drugs. One of the safest drugs you can take is not legalized. And by the way, the reason why weed is not legalized, if they, and this goes back to them, they can go back and look at the history and realize The reason why weed was not legalized is because it was super profitable, and the people and no one wanted to compete because no one was in that industry yet. No one wanted to compete for weed.
Yeah.
You would create monolithic companies of that, just like you've created monolithic companies of many other things.
Yeah.
And the competitors of that didn't want to deal with that, so they took out propaganda to showcase how bad it is.
How bad it was. And
we know that now.
I can take it even a step further. We are the proof that how effective their propaganda was is we consider it a drug.
Us was important because it did describe us, like them and us, kind of. Of course, we all grew up 18, 19, 20 years of being rigid little, puppets or something, and suddenly the grass relaxed us. It allowed us to be the people we really are, or really were.
Exactly. So we know that now, or I should assume we know that, and yet you haven't won that fight yet, which if you guys are so caring, right, you would assume that you would want to start humbly, right? Before you want to fix the freaking world, you'd assume that, hey man, let's start with the little things. Let's legalize drugs. People are going to jail for basically selling mint or selling a
painkiller. In some cases,
or selling
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Like we're getting people arrested for selling time or I don't know,
bro.
Turmeric. This is basically the equivalent of that, and we're taking people to jail for that, and people are suffering for that, and it's an industry that's dangerous, right? Because people are getting killed for selling this. If you're selling it in certain territory, whatever, and yet we are here stopping normal people from going to work.
Yeah.
Wanting to stop something that, if you want to look at fixing the world, this and the priority list would be next to dead lost. If you actually want to fix the world, right, you kind of have to start by fixing the people. Here's what happens when you fix the people. It becomes easier for you to fix the world when you macro fix people. Because as much as people hate America, as much as people hate America, without America, that everyone hates so much, and you kind of something that fixed imperialism or that fixed monarchism, you know what I mean? This kind of free world. Thanks to this thing, now we can talk about climate change. Do you think if everyone lived in a country of kings and queens, the kings and queens would give a fuck about climate change? We just have to follow their orders.
Protests like this show an incredible lack of foresight, an incredible lack of understanding, because it's like, first of all, this kind of protest, like I said, there's a difference between an environmental protester chaining themselves up to a tree that is about to be bulldozed for the sake of a strip mall.
I tied myself into this tube in the ground, and so I'm kind of stuck here until they get me out, basically.
Her goal is to stop loggers from getting access to old-growth trees.
This is so important. This is crucial. This is not replaceable.
It's a shame that it has to come to this. I don't want to be strapped to a log, but it's really hard that we have to be doing this.
As opposed to sitting in the middle of a busy street, stopping middle-class workers from going to work. This one looks like a child throwing a tantrum in a convenience store. That's what this looks like. A child throwing a tantrum in a convenience store. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that, the lenience of your parents is what allows you to throw that tantrum, and you're so spoiled that you're gonna say fuck you because they give you that freedom. That's why they can go fuck themselves, because of that freedom. But it's like, and I'm willing to bet you can probably find the person who organized this thing, and this thing is probably on like their resume or something. You know what I'm saying? For like job opportunities and such.
For the companies that create the biggest opportunity for carbon.
I mean, shit, bro. If you want, if a company is thinking of hiring like fake protesters, you can have this on your resume. Like, hey, look what I can organize just on social media. I can get you fake protesters that think that they're real.
Cops, 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 cops. Yeah, yeah, boys, get them, get them. Look at the leniency white people are treated about when they vote. Look at the, hey, look. Okay,
I like seeing white people get arrested, though. I wouldn't lie. I do like seeing white people get arrested.
But just look at the leniency. Look at this, the courtesy. Like they get 2 people, and 2 people just hold them side to side. They're like, whoa! They're not like, get down, motherfucker!
No.
Put the
If any of these people were black, they would have gotten a suplex.
Oh my goodness! Look at this courtesy, bro.
Look at this man here, bro. This man here, he's taking evidence for work. Because this is a delivery guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He's taking evidence for work so that at work he can be like, hey boss, me it was beyond my control.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the cops, boss.
Charged with disorderly conduct. You will be placed under arrest and charged with disorderly conduct. Voluntarily.
The pause. Look what's written on the poles. Look what's written on the poles.
For the water
That's your nigga.
They Biden
nigga.
Oh yeah.
That is your nigga. Biden.
I believe people fall for the same shit over and over. Like,
bro,
you know what I'm saying?
Over and over again. Dog.
I can't believe it, dog. And then they'll be like, this president will be different. Oh my God, dog. That's crazy to me.
It's gonna be different this time.
That's crazy, dog. Like, what did Einstein say? Like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. Like, that's crazy.
Should have voted for Kanye.
You should have voted for Kanye. Shit. At least with Kanye, you would have known one thing for certain. It would have been some drastic shit going on.
Hey, it would have been some drastic stuff.
Which seems like that's what you want.
Never mind.
Chinga